Hello and welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're having a lovely week so far. Please, can we just ignore the current state of affairs in terms of my hair and general demeanour? If it looks like I've been dragged through a hedge backwards, it's because I've literally just got back from the gym. And it was an afternoon session, which I hate. I am a morning gym gal. But today, it had to be done in the afternoon. It was the only time I had. So look, we got it done. And look, I'm not doing a full face of makeup and sorting my hair out just to come on here and chat to you guys. I am a coach, not a content creator after all. I just happen to create content. Anyway, today, big topic. We're going to be talking about fat loss and dieting in general. Now, when we think about dieting, losing body fat, going through that process, I think people are too quick generally to just jump in straight in, right? Without actually assessing in any way whether they are ready for a successful dieting phase. Because it's one thing saying, I'd like to lose some body fat, and another entirely having your life, environment, habits, mindset set up for that fat loss to actually be successful rather than it just feeling like a slog. Fat loss should really be quite deliberate, and it should be a phase with a start date and an end date, at least a forecasted end date. We don't just want to jump into a diet and think, well, I'll just do this until I can't do it anymore. That's probably not the best strategy. And it's not something you just do every single time you feel a little bit uncomfortable. Waking up on a Monday morning feeling a bit more fluffy and bloated than usual is not good cause for you to go, right, diet starts today, followed by you just gripping on for dear life until your willpower eventually gives out. When we think about a diet, we do want to consider what those foundations look like. You wouldn't build a house on shaky foundations. You're not gonna diet successfully on shaky, questionable foundations either. Instead of asking, do I want to lose fat? To which the answer might well be yes. We should really be asking, do I currently have the right habits and behaviors in place to support a successful fat loss phase? Because really, when we think about fat loss dieting, you are just needing to be really good at repeating the same behaviors again and again and again. And if those behaviors aren't there yet, there's no quicker way to find that out by just jumping headfirst into a diet without asking that question. When we think about being ready for fat loss, what does that look like? Well, a few things spring to mind. Firstly, your nutrition should probably be fairly consistent as it is. Notice how I didn't say perfect. I just said consistent, predictable, similar day to day. So just some structure. You know what most of your meals look like physically. What is on your plate? When are you eating throughout the day? Roughly. If you're currently just grazing throughout the day, only responding to your hunger cues when you are absolutely ravenous, or not really eating very much at all throughout the day and then just gorging on whatever you can find in the evening, picking things off your kids' plates rather than sitting down and having a proper meal, those are the kind of things we probably want to fix first. Get to a point where you have some semblance of structure. I roughly eat 4 meals a day, roughly at these times, and they roughly look something like this. Again, you don't need to worry about whether any of that is perfect right now. You just need to have an idea of what is happening. Number 2, you have a pretty good understanding of what your current intake looks like. Start tracking your nutrition for a couple of weeks, including weekends, they count too. Don't necessarily change anything right now, just capture as is. Where are your calories coming from? How are they splitting up throughout the day? Are you noticing that you have maybe 200 calories for breakfast, but then 1,500 calories for dinner? For example, any of those big discrepancies between meals, big gaps of time between meals, all of that is data you can use to make sure that when we think about dieting, we know exactly what it is that we need to change. Also, once you have an understanding of what current intake looks like, you are much more prepared to create a deficit that is actually effective for fat loss for you. A calorie calculator could never. This is exactly what we do inside coaching in the baselining phase. We first want to establish current intake, eating habits, patterns that we want to break before jumping into that deficit. Number 3, you're already doing some form of training, ideally strength training. When we're thinking about dieting, We are always looking at this through a muscle-centric lens. Even if you're not interested in packing on a load of muscle, which you should be, honestly. But if you're not, then we still want to hold on to the lean mass that we do have. What we don't want is to head in to a really restrictive diet without any strength training, any resistance training in our schedule, so that the weight that we lose could well also be muscle as well as fat. That is bad news for our metabolic health and also just longevity overall. And lastly, but most importantly, can your lifestyle currently sustain it? Dieting is a stressor. It is a physical stress on the body, not to mention the mental load that it brings as well. There is a lot to think about. You have to make compromises, sacrifices in some cases. You've got to do a bit of pre-planning. All of this stuff doesn't come without a cost. If your schedule is currently absolute chaos, your sleep is in the bin, and your stress is through the roof, then it is going to feel like a bit of an uphill battle. It's not to say that your life needs to be perfectly calm in order to consider dieting, but if you've got an incredibly stressful work project that finishes up in 6 weeks' time, but you're thinking, I'll diet right now, it probably makes more sense to wait until that's finished. Get your habits in the right place first. Essentially, what we're looking for when it comes to a deficit is for you to do exactly what you're doing right now at maintenance, but with a little less food. That is the way to make dieting easy. If we're keeping all of our structures, our habits in the same place, but just reducing overall calories, that is a shit ton easier than you trying to do a 180 with your life overnight. Going from sporadic meals, heavily reliant on ultra-processed snack type foods throughout the day, not having any frameworks around your meals, it's literally just grabbing whatever is available, not doing any strength training, barely walking throughout the day, to I'm now training 5 times a week, I have a specific calorie goal that I need to stick to, I have no idea how I'm going to fill those calories, but I'll make it work somehow. You can totally imagine how much harder that route is going to be. Discipline and motivation are so much easier to come by when you have a set of go-to systems to fall back on. Some frameworks around your meals, some go-to options that you know are nutritionally balanced, are calorie friendly, are high protein. Having some built-in scenarios of, well, if I can't do this, I'll just do that. If you don't have those things, one little slip up, one stressful day at work, one meal out, one weekend away, and you'll feel like you are back at square one, having to start all over again. If you're listening to this and thinking, maybe I'm not ready, that is actually a good thing. This means if you're willing to put in that little bit of work beforehand to just tighten some things up, bringing some of those structures in, your fat loss phase, when you come to it, is going to be so much more efficient. Before you think about dieting, let's lay some of that groundwork, build in those consistent meals, anchor each of them around protein and fiber, stick to regular meal timings that you can repeat most days, understand your current calorie intake, not just Monday through Thursday. We're looking on average here. Get into some structured strength training. Once you have all of those habits baked in, you have a great understanding of what current intake looks like for you, what habits need to change, then you are ready to diet. And at that point, everything just works better. There's less friction, there's more adherence, better results overall. And as I say, this is exactly how we do it inside the Recomp Blueprint. No calorie deficits on day one, baselining first, a clear dieting roadmap next, start date, end date, and then a fat loss phase that actually makes sense for your life that you can execute against and get incredible results from. You can click the link in the description to join the waitlist for the next intake. And as always, if you've got any questions, please do drop them in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Love you. Bye.